Hello. Did you know that your holiday photos can further science? The pictures you take could be a source of data that can help protect biodiversity. We'll have more on that later. But welcome to Eco Africa, the weekly environment show. I'm Nel Taigbe in Lagos, Nigeria. Here's a look at what we have coming up on the show today. We'll find out how people in Senegal are fighting coastal erosion, how women in Gambia are upcycling plastic waste, and why volunteers in England are counting butterflies. We begin the show in Senegal, a country that is home to some 15 million people. About 4 decades ago, a forest was planted in the northwest of the country to combat the problem of coastal erosion. It changed the lives of farmers there. But now, years later, population growth and other factors are putting a strain on this forest. Let's go see this.
A bountiful harvest of aubergine or eggplant, that's not something that farmer Ousmane Sow takes for granted. He's one of over 20,000 farmers living in the Niayes region of northwestern Senegal. Many live close to the coast and so potentially face the threat of erosion and sandstorms. But a belt of trees is helping to protect them. Almost 200 kilometers long, it's 500 meters wide at its narrowest point. The forest was planted 40 years ago as a shield against wind and coastal erosion. Regional Farmers Union representative Mamadou Ndiaye says filao trees or whistling pines were specifically chosen because they can thrive in the harsh coastal environment and because they stabilize the dunes.
Ici où nous sommes, c'était vraiment du sable blanc.
Right here where we are now was once nothing but white sand. Niayes is known for its living dunes. Before these trees were planted, the dunes would move with the wind and cause erosion. They covered much land basins and hindered the producers' agricultural activities. They made it impossible for the farmers to settle here.
Mais aussi ne permettant aux producteurs de se sédentariser.
Today, 60% of Senegal's vegetable production comes from the Niayes region. An estimated 225,000 tons are produced here annually. It has become the country's food basket, and it was the pine trees that allowed farmers like Ousmane Sow to create their fields.
It was only after the trees were planted that we were able to live and work the land here. At first, we could only put up temporary shelters because the sand knocked down everything in its path. Thanks to the pine trees, the sand is stable, and because of that, we have a fertile forest, and we've built homes and can cultivate vegetables.
It's a delicate balance, though. The farmers need the trees for protection, but the growing population means the demand for timber for fuel and for building furniture is also growing. The solution? The forest has been divided up into some 200 plots managed by different agricultural and forestry groups. Each group decides which trees can be felled according to strict quotas. Saplings are planted to replace any trees that are chopped down. This nursery delivers saplings to farmers all over the coast.
As you can see, it's because of the abundance of pine trees that we have fertile land. Maintaining the forest is central to the work of our association. In order to do that, we have to plant and replenish trees. It's crucial to sustainable development.
The young trees are watered in their plastic sheaths to ensure they absorb as much moisture as possible. Then the plastic is cut away to let the tree take root. Over 50,000 trees are planted each year, and hopefully they'll also protect future generations of farmers from encroaching sand and rising sea levels.
Now, the first plastic road on the African continent was constructed in South Africa's Eastern Cape region. The new paving technology has only been tested in a few countries, Ghana inclusive, but it's already looking like a good alternative to conventional asphalt made from petroleum. Each kilometer of this plastic road is built from a mountain of waste, close to 2 million plastic bags or 650,000 plastic bottles. Removing all of that waste from the environment will definitely make a difference. The street has even been nominated for a South African Ecologic Award. It's a great idea with a lot of promise. Here is this week's Doing Your Bit.
These cars are driving on plastic bottles, shopping bags, and packaging. The first road in South Africa made from plastic trash is proving its worth. No cracks, no potholes. The 1.7-kilometer stretch of road in Port Elizabeth was made of an asphalt compound containing pellets of shredded plastic. This project was commissioned to test the feasibility of building roads like these in South Africa.
The waste plastics that we use are specific plastics that would have not been recycled and gone to either landfill or incineration. Yeah, so by removing a percentage of the bitumen, we're reducing the requirement and the need for using fossil fuels, and that because bitumen is a byproduct of oil, and we're obviously reducing the amount of plastic that's going into landfill and potentially into the ocean.
The company says that compared to standard asphalt or concrete roads, theirs also last longer. In South Africa, only 16% of plastic waste is recycled. The rest ends up in landfill sites or the environment. Every kilometer of the new roadway uses the equivalent of almost 690,000 plastic bottles. The pilot project is now among the finalists for a prestigious South African Ecologic Award.
And how about you? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
In our next report, we head to one of the smallest countries on the mainland of Africa, the Gambia. Like many West African countries, it lacks a functioning waste disposal system. Waste is a serious problem. Trash is everywhere, in the rivers, on the fields, and piled up in the streets. Like wherever people are, there's waste. A women's initiative is helping to reduce the mounds of rubbish and promote recycling while providing women with some extra income.
Working with women is so enjoyable because, to be honest, women, whenever they're committed, they're committed. And in any development in the whole world, women, they play 100% of their role in anything. And they never set back. They always, push to the limit.
Isatou Sizai has been called the Gambia's queen of recycling.
Before you get firewood today in the rural communities, you have to walk maybe 1.5, 2 kilometers before you get to the forest to have maybe 10 sticks that you can use for one meal. It takes a lot of your time. The real poor people, they cannot get access to that charcoal. But with this one, it's easy access wherever you are in the country.
Isatou is the founder of the NGO women's initiative, The Gambia. It's found a way to produce fuel briquettes from the shells of peanuts or groundnuts. Groundnuts are the Gambia's main cash crop and export product. Left to decay, the shells produce CO2 and methane. So first they're crushed, then slowly burned.
We're here for our families. We come every morning to this place to earn as much as we can for them. It allows us to pay the school fees and school materials. When I get up in the morning at 6 to come here, There are up to 500 other women here. Their families wouldn't survive without this job.
At a landfill near Sizai's village, these women are collecting discarded glass, plastic, and leftover fabric dumped by local seamstresses. If you know what to look for, there are rich pickings to be had. Maram Sezai is one of Isatu's first partners. She remembers that there was some initial skepticism about the project and the idea of women gaining financial independence.
When I started in 1997, my family thought I was crazy. As a young married woman, I was expected to get up in the morning and cook food for my husband in the kitchen. But my family and my husband had to watch me heading off to the dumping ground. They told me I wasn't a good wife. They expected me to be home with my husband. They had no idea what I was up to.
At this time of year, there's not much growing in the Central River region. It's over 40 degrees Celsius, and the rains won't come for another 6 months. But people still need to earn a living.
It was a big threat to the men of the community, and I never blamed them for that, because that's the nature and that's the culture that we are living in. But I always said, culture is us. We are the one who build culture. It's about the situation that we are living and what favors us. Men leading is not a problem, but women also today, they have rights to lead because they are contributing.
The recycling center in the village of Nyao, where Isatu Sizai comes from, was the first in the Gambia. She employed just 5 women to begin with. They would collect and clean up old plastic bags and then weave them into new ones. Today, up to 20,000 people across the country work with or for her NGO. They produce briquettes, soap, bags, jewelry, and toys. Some of the best-selling items are purses made from reclaimed plastic. Village banks look after the money earned by the women's groups around the country, so it doesn't all disappear into their household spending.
We want to empower them and we want to train them on economic, how they can economic the little that they have. So when they receive their monies from the sales of the purses, if it is $100, you have to sit back and tell us how much money do you want to take home. But whatever happens, you have to put some money into here because we are planning for tomorrow.
When Isatu Sisai was growing up, this area was covered with mahogany and acacia trees. Deforestation and climate change have transformed the landscape into an arid steppe. Funded by donations, the Women's Initiative also started a project called Reforest the Future. Water from a well irrigates the newly planted seedlings. Along with indigenous trees like mahogany, the women are growing mango and coconut trees. The saplings are still in a tree nursery, but will eventually be distributed across the country.
You want to make a change. Be 100% sure that it will never be overnight. And then you have to have an expectation that if it is 100 people living within your area, 75% will say no at the beginning. But let that be a motivation for you. Let everybody try to make sure that whatever you are establishing, let it be a real thing, and it is helping the society.
From the forests of the Gambia to the lush meadows of England, it's butterfly season. They are not only lovely to look at, but they also play an important role in the ecosystem. Volunteers are taking part in what's reportedly the world's biggest survey of butterflies, and it's a huge help in assessing the health of the environment. Let's see this.
A red admiral, a small white, and this is called a comma. Environmentalist Simon Saville has no problems finding butterflies here in Hutchinson's Bank, a nature reserve on the outskirts of London. But industrial agriculture and urbanization have caused butterfly numbers to drop. Experts say 3/4 of species in the UK are in decline, yet these delicate creatures are important pollinators and pest controllers.
But it's really helpful to know what butterflies there are and where they are flying, because the butterflies are a very good indicator of the quality of the environment. How well is that environment being managed for the wildlife?
To get an overview, the wildlife charity Butterfly Conservation launched a UK-wide census. It's targeting 20 key butterfly and moth species. Anyone can report their sightings using a smartphone app that locks onto their location.
A few of those, however many you see, very simple. And if you want identification guides, you can go and find that. Click Next. It's at the right date. If you can change it if you need to, then click Next again, and then submit that, and then you've got another count has been made.
As hard as the COVID-19 pandemic has been on the British economy, it's had some positive side effects for nature and wildlife.
I think in general lockdown has helped many of our butterflies, particularly if you look at parks and gardens, road verges. There's been less cutting of the grass and the areas like that, and so more plants have been able to grow, and I think more butterflies have been able to thrive. I think the air quality benefits that came along are also probably going to have some benefit as well.
However, as life increasingly reverts to the way it was before lockdown, the unexpected respite may end for butterflies. So the app data could now prove especially important for their protection.
With this data, we can influence government policy. Butterflies are used as indicators by the government, so we can really get a handle on what's going on out there and reverse the declines in butterflies. What we really the only way we can conserve species is to know where they are. So all these sort of sightings lets us know where these species are and where conservation measures need to be introduced.
Over 1.5 million butterflies were counted by more than 110,000 volunteers in the 2020 census, taking the pulse of nature before it's too late.
So there's an app for counting butterflies, and you'll be amazed at how many other apps you can use to protect the environment. Eco Africa has another tip for all the tech nerds out there, and if you're one of those who takes pictures with your smartphone all day long, like I just did, then this one's for you. Your photos can help to safeguard the environment. Here's how.
Tourists can contribute their photos to citizen science projects and supply valuable data for research on coasts, animals, and clouds. The University of Kiel's Coastwards project examines all types of coastlines, whether cliffs, mud, or sand. Vacationists can upload their photos and specify the exact location to the Coastwards website. The images go into a global databank and help scientists to better understand the risks of rising sea levels. The Wild Me project by an American NGO documents the migratory paths of wildlife. Anyone, whether tourist or researcher, can upload photos of wild animals to the site. Artificial intelligence recognizes each animal by its individual traits and records the date, time, and location the photo was taken. This allows scientists to follow migratory patterns, and users can see where the animal they photographed on their holiday has moved on to. Anyone can take pictures of clouds with NASA's Globe Observer app and again help researchers. The U.S. Aeronautics and Space Administration compares the photos and other data like time and place with their own satellite images, which among other things helps them improve research on the atmosphere and climate.
Zimbabwe's changing climate means that farmers are being forced to look for new ways to make a living. Some have now started to breed free-range chickens. In addition to laying eggs, these birds are natural pest controllers. They feed on insects and food waste. That's one reason why a national organization is encouraging more farmers to take up chicken breeding. We went to meet some families who have done just that, to see how they are getting on.
There's no guarantee that Sinikiwe Dube's fields will produce enough for her to eat. Here in northwestern Zimbabwe, farmers are already feeling the effects of climate change.
Things aren't like they were in previous years. The weather is different now. For one, we used to get rain from October to December, but now we get little to none. In the past, there was enough rain for our crops and cattle, but that's all changed.
To make sure she'll have enough to eat in future, Sinikiwe Dube has bought some hens. She feeds them kitchen waste. But because they can run about freely, they can also forage for food. About an hour's drive south, close to the city of Bulawayo, free-range hens are being bred commercially. Their meat has become trendy in restaurants in Zimbabwe's towns and cities. It's said to be tastier than the meat of battery-reared hens. Kumbararai Makar used to be a vegetable farmer. Then she decided to take on free-range hens as well. Today, an expert on free-range breeding has come to give her tips on getting even more out of her farm. The Kokok breed is good for both eggs and meat production, so it's very popular among breeders. But it's important not to rely on a single breed.
The Zimbabwe Free Range Poultry Association is promoting different breeds for free-range poultry production. There is a market for the indigenous birds that you find in the rural areas, and we want to protect that genetic pool so that farmers continue to produce that and protect it.
The eggs here don't go to market. There's a more lucrative use for them. They're incubated at just under 38 degrees Celsius for 3 weeks. The chicks are sold for €1 each to farmers who want to start their own free-range operation. Sales here come to about €1,000 a month. But nonetheless, energy costs are so high that Makar is planning to switch to solar power.
Electricity is quite a major blow to our business because we use electricity 24/7. Our hatcheries, they have to be on throughout. So we sourced a generator. So that's the backup that we have. But now with the increase of fuel, we found out it's now very expensive to run a generator for 8 to 10 hours.
Energy may be costly, but waste from the fields is free. It's used to feed the hens. Their droppings are used to fertilize the fields. This is organic cultivation, and the farm is already supplying 3 supermarkets with vegetables. Beauty Gigi spends much time traveling throughout Zimbabwe. Her efforts are paying off. Some 5,000 farmers have already joined the Zimbabwe Free Range Poultry Association. But she wants to recruit more of them, and for that she has prepared a workshop. In a clear and simple way, Beauty Gigi shows villagers the environmental and financial benefits of raising different breeds on a large scale.
Anyone and any farmer can start that enterprise with whatever breed or birds that they had. Secondly, it's a low investment enterprise. It doesn't need complicated housing. It doesn't need complicated breeds or feed. You could use the local available materials.
The farmers tend to be cautious. Even if the hens do generate cash, they want to keep the costs down. Earthworms are one type of fodder that comes for free. And raising them in a mash of kitchen waste, cattle dung and moisture means they can reproduce easily.
Perhaps a lack of awareness of these programs is why interest among my peers is low. Many would rather leave to seek employment elsewhere than take part in the project. I'll do my best to convince them it's worthwhile to get involved. It's a chance to develop a meaningful livelihood. Jobs are hard to come by nowadays.
Then at sundown, something odd happens. Something that never ceases to amuse the villagers. Their free-range hens all take to the trees to settle down for their night's rest. This has a beneficial side effect. The trees in which hens sleep are valued by the villagers and are therefore rarely cut down.
And what a great initiative. Hopefully it will encourage others to take up responsibility for their environment too. Don't forget to tune in again next week for another edition of Eco Africa. In the meantime, you can stay in touch with us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Stay safe, be mindful of others, and see you soon. I'm Neo Taigwe signing up from Lagos, Nigeria. Bye-bye.